Are you new to audio and looking for an amazing headphone? Something truly life-changing? Have about $100 to spend? Well, stick around and find out just why the Sony MDR7506 is exactly what you're looking for. What's up, Bassheads? Stuart Charles here, HomeStudioBasics.com, helping you make sound decisions leading to a beautiful audio experience that will make you fall in love with music all over again. So, life-changing is quite an extravagant claim, yeah? Well, I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. The MDR7506 will change your life if you've never heard what a good headphone is supposed to sound like. Why is that? Because I said so. Imagine for a second that you've been listening to music all your life, but haven't actually heard the music, how the artist intended for it to sound, the clarity of the instruments, the spacing of the composition, the intimacy of the human voice, the sparkle and shimmer that makes a song sound lively and engaging, a bass response that articulates so well you could almost swear it was rolling somehow. It's a feeling, but also a knowing, a complete and utter revelation of sorts. That's the 7506 in a nutshell. It's as if you're hearing music for the very first time. It will completely change your perception of sound. You will stop and go, oh my god, this is what music is supposed to sound like. I can't believe I went all these years without this in my life. This is amazing!
I feel incredible! Yes, 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 yes!
You may even do a little dance, but make sure to stick around to the end of this video for how it changed my life personally, but also a couple of downsides to owning a 7506. It was impossible to gain this revelatory understanding with headphones that I grew up accustomed to seeing and buying from drugstores and department stores back in the 90s. In those days, and all the way up until 2010, I had no idea that audiophile grade headphones were even a thing. It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but I thought that those cheap knockoffs were the real deal. I was so ignorant to the magic of putting on a truly amazing set of cans. Growing up, my dad was exclusively into turntables and speakers. I understood the significance and the power of those things, but in our house, headphones were pretty much an afterthought. My first pair were the Sonys that came with the Discman. The materials were incredibly cheap and they would periodically break down over time. Not only that, but your hair would get caught in the headband adjustment, causing you to want to punch somebody in the neck. Every so often I would peruse my local drugstore, foaming at the mouth for the prospect of my next great purchase. You know what I'm talking about if you saw my last Sennheiser HD600 video. That juicy Jensen audio. Remember Kobe? Not Kobe Bryant, but Kobe Audio. They're pretty much a Sony knockoff and their headphones are terrible. These are some of the $10 headphones I take home with me from those 90s drugstores, thinking I just won the lottery or something.
Yeah! Who won the lottery? I did!
There's something to be said for this type of ignorance and naivety. I was happy and satisfied with what I had. I enjoyed music more. I was excited about it. It's not to say I don't get excited about it now, but the sentiment has transformed into something a bit different now that I'm older. If I'm honest, I take it for granted more than I did when finding a good piece of music was an adventure rather than somewhat of a chore. In that sense, those types of headphones did change my life at the time. They seemed fresh and new, but it was almost impossible to get them out of the box. You know, the box you needed a machete to open. Some years later, I graduated to the Sony MDR V150s, which actually sound surprisingly decent for $20 headphones. I remember going through at least 5 to 7 pairs of them back in the early 2000s, as the headband would always snap under pressure like Henry Hill. The pads were pretty awful too, and that only continued in Sony's MDR7506, a headphone that changed my life back in 2010. It can change yours as well. It's a moment you will never forget for as long as you live. I can remember exactly how I felt when the wall of sound penetrated my ears for the very first time. It's that heart drops into your stomach feeling, similar to the one you get when you see someone you really like. I knew at that moment that things would never be the same. I was making beats on my laptop and using some old Logitech speakers, but I knew I needed something better. I've always been partial to the feeling of wearing headphones, so I did a ton of research on the best entry-level quote-unquote good headphones. A step up from the cheap garbage, but one that also wouldn't burn a hole in my pocket. The MDR76 was an almost unanimous pick from every source I read. Fantastic low-end response, clear and articulate mid-range, and a brighter treble which allows you to hear what's going on in the mix easier. I had read that they'd been around for many years, first appearing as the original Sony MDR V6, a headphone that has since been discontinued in 2020. The problem with hearing something as good as a 7506 is that eventually you'll want something better. As amazing as it sounds, it does have some other issues. The coiled cable is a huge pain in the ass. The pads flake and peel over time. You'll find those little specks in the most ridiculous of places. And let's be honest, the headphone isn't the most comfortable in the world. But there's a reason why it's still around all these years later. There's a reason why so many people in podcasts, interviews, basketball games, on TV shows, etc. have one on. If you look closely, you'll start to notice them everywhere. At one point I was taking pictures and screenshots every time I saw one. Simply put, there's a reason why the 7506 has extremely high ratings on Amazon with over 11,000 reviews. Shoot, even Mike Tyson wear one, and you know if Mike Tyson wear one, it's good. This is Iron Mike Tyson speaking right now. If you don't buy one of these today, I'll knock your ass out cold just like I did the rest of them busters.
You got knocked the fuck out!
It's just a rock solid headphone with a fantastic sound at an amazing price. I fully believe everyone should have one of these in their cabinet. Still, you'll inevitably want something better down the road. You'll invariably find yourself stuck in the audiophile rabbit hole. So, if you're brand new to audio, I'm giving you fair warning now. Understand what you're getting yourself into and prepare your wallets accordingly.
Find my wallet.
Which one is it?
It's the one that says bad motherfucker.
If you have an insatiable appetite like me and want to venture a bit further down the hole, click this playlist to my right.
Check. Review brought to you by Stu. Here's the coda. I'm nasty on the mic. Call me warm soda. Chopped up this beat real fine like cold produce.